Make sure you stick around until the end to see how you can win free gear and products. Hey, this is PJ with CLK Supplies, and I am back with the Lockfather, also known as my dad, Pete. How's it going?
It's going well, thanks.
Good. So, recently we've had, with all of our van tours, we've had so many of you sending us tours of your van or photos of it. Thank you so much. Keep them coming. It's great to for us to even see them, let alone the entire community. So thank you for doing that. But I really wanted to kind of get down to the basics, the fundamentals, and really as true as we can be talking about vans. Now, Dad, over the years, you've had all sorts
of
vans, haven't you?
Right.
I remember seeing the picture on your wall of your first. It looked like a UPS type of a van.
Old mail truck.
Old mail truck. I mean, over the years, you name it, you've had it.
Well, it depends what your budget is.
Yeah.
And my budget was always low when you first start.
Yeah, so I want to kind of get your perspective a little bit on when it's time to get a new van. What are you thinking? Like, like a normal service van, like what's going through your mind? Like,
well, I want to get 2 lives out of it.
You do?
Yeah.
2 lives, okay.
2 lives.
Okay, tell us about that.
Well, as long as the body's in great shape, it's more feasible to put a new engine and a transmission.
Okay.
And keep it running.
Okay.
Now, I did that to 97 when I bought that other store in Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah.
And it had 220,000 miles on it.
Okay.
So I go, okay, we'll run until it dies. So body was in great shape. And so we had to do that.
Okay.
And it's how people take care of the vans. I had one guy open the door, pushed it through the garage, and flipped the door backwards.
Ooh.
Now there's a crease.
But how long ago was that?
A year ago.
Oh, really?
And we got it to close, and okay.
Some duct tape? Put some duct tape
No.
on?
And it looks good. I had to replace a couple parts.
Okay.
And then a guy I just hired, he's no longer with us, he backed into the dumpsters and put 3 creases. I mean, he has 60 feet and he hits the dumpster. And well, I want my vans to look good.
Yeah. So when it comes, so what, that's a good question. I didn't plan on asking you this, but this is a good one here. So when it comes to, let's call it bumps and bruises on company vehicles.
Yeah, they
right?
get them.
What ones are you willing to fix? Do you think that you need to fix, and which ones, in your opinion, are like I wish it wasn't there, but the juice isn't worth the squeeze when it comes to paying to get it fixed?
I usually don't get bumpers unless they're completely.
Okay, so if there's a couple little
dents in the bumper, any body work, I want it complete. I want it to look good.
Okay.
Now somebody just hit the 51 backed into it at my house, and it was my wife's girlfriend and didn't even leave a note. And it's the only person it could be.
Yeah.
Because she was there and...
Did you call her up or?
Yeah. And
that's fine.
I'm not happy, but that's life.
Yeah. So buying a new one, have you bought a brand new van?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Have you bought more brand new ones than used ones?
No. I buy new ones for me.
Okay.
And the guys what will take care of them. Because
okay.
a lot of the guys, I don't care, it's not theirs. And they drive them horribly.
Yeah.
And they cut corners or whatever and, put dents in it. And
yeah.
One van we just had, never had a dent in the whole thing. And it has 280,000 miles on it. But it still runs. We've never done anything but a transmission in that one.
Yep.
And somebody was parked and somebody took out the whole side.
Okay.
So I had to get that done. But I like vans because you're representing yourself, your company, and you want to look good and professional.
Yes.
Now, there's an issue with paint peeling on a lot of these white vans. So instead of getting them repainted, I just take some white vinyl
Yep.
and put over them. Up close you notice it, but when you're driving it, you don't.
Okay, so it's kind of like a patch fix when it's like, listen, it's not worth repainting the whole side
Well, the whole van.
or the whole van, but doing this
Right.
kind of gets you by, you know.
Right, because you want them to look good from driving down the road.
Absolutely.
Because the ones I drive down the road, I said, look, that looks horrible. You know,
Yeah.
it's not my van, but somebody else's.
Now, at what point are you getting a new van, or are you putting a new motor or transmission in? Like, is there like miles you look at? You look at the entire van as a whole? You look at like, I mean, like...
Entire van as a whole.
Okay.
You want to, you know, assess or evaluate
Yep.
what your van is.
Yep.
And, you know, if you're an owner and can afford to buy a new one because you're going to take care of it.
Uh-huh.
A lot of your people don't. So I usually try to buy a van with 30 to 40,000 on it.
Okay.
And when I first started, I bought vans for a second van. I bought one with 150.
Yeah.
Well, that was a death trap, you know.
Yeah. Now, let's say you're at a spot right now where, you know, you need a van soon.
Right.
The funds really aren't there for whatever reason, right? Maybe you're still saving. Maybe you had some unexpected expenses.
Right.
And you need to keep moving.
Right.
Right? Excuse me. Would you say at that point, is it better to just keep maintaining the van that you have, or would you maybe go get a loan on one? Like, I mean,
Well, whatever-
how do you like to...
If a van's really giving me a lot of problems, I want to get rid of it and get a different one.
Okay.
If I have to take a loan, I have a couple loans, and you know, I also have money sitting there to replace a van, but I hate using it
Sure.
because you want a good nest egg. And vans aren't cheap,
No.
you know, especially today. I mean, a brand new, you know, express van is, you know, $40,000, 45.
Sure.
But if your guys take care of them and do,
Okay. Now, I want to end with a couple things here.
okay.
First off, out of all the vans you've owned, what is the worst van, hands down? If you could completely erase it out of your memory, you would.
The Windstars and
Like,
Caravan.
give me like a year, make.
96 Windstar.
Okay, those gave you nothing but grief.
Well, they had windows in the side, so I put vinyl over those to white them out. But you told me about those vans, you know.
I did?
Yeah, the old mail vans. They had 30,000 miles on them.
Okay, you know, hey, that brings up a good point here. Okay, so, yes, I'm glad you brought that up. How many years ago was this? 15?
Yeah.
15-ish years ago. I happened to, I was driving down the road or something, and I saw these Ford Windstar vans lined up, and there was a bunch of them.
Yeah, there's 9, 10 of them.
Yeah, 9, 10 of them, and they were $500 a piece. $700 a piece, okay? And I immediately call up my dad. I'm like, hey, Dad, man, there's got these vans here, you know, yada, yada. So you went and talked to him, and you
Said
bought...
I'll take all of them.
Yep.
He says I won't sell them all to you.
How many did you buy?
2.
2. And on those vans, they were low miles. Weren't they around like 30,000 miles?
30, 35.
10 years old at the
Yeah,
time. I don't know, somewhere around there. 10,
No, they were fairly new.
fairly new.
yeah.
5 years old, 6, something like
Yeah.
that. And you bought them.
Mm-hmm.
And they caused you nothing but grief.
Nothing but grief. Transmission. They don't have radios, so the guys want radios, you know.
Yeah, so they were stock U.S. mail
Right.
vans is what they were.
Yes.
And they had 30,000 miles on them, and, you know, one would have thought you could at least got a good...
Yeah, no AC. The guys were dying. And I said, well, they were cheap. You know?
Oh, man. But, hey, at the same time, I think it really boils down to, you know, when you see different opportunities, you have to see, I mean,
Right.
for $700,
Right.
I mean, geez. I mean, now, you ended with a good $4,000 or $5,000 in each one of those, didn't you?
Yes.
Oh,
You
man.
would have to bring that up.
And, oh, man. man. And here, I thought I was just helping you out when I saw those.
No, and hey, everybody has a different price range, what they can afford. And right then, business was good, but I didn't have a lot of cash flow.
Yep.
And that was perfect for what I needed.
Yeah. Now, would you say it's safe to say that no matter where your business is at, where your budget is at, the number one thing that you should always be worried about is just having a clean presentation of your van?
Absolutely.
Right? You want it clean and you want it looking good to the best of your ability. Now, of course, we've seen some of you have sent pictures in of these beautifully wrapped vans.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I mean, top of the line.
But I'm too cheap to wrap mine because if they do get in a wreck, we cut our own vinyl and put them on because, there's this big expense when you have as many vans as us.
Yeah.
But I'm always a thrifty type guy.
Yeah.
And you do the best you can. Like my first van was a 66 Dodge mail van.
Uh-huh.
And I bought it out of a junkyard, rebuilt the whole thing.
Yep.
And then 5 years later, I got a newer one.
Sure. Now, on to the best van you've ever owned out of all the years in business. What van would you say? It's like, man, give me a dozen of those.
Right. Ford Aerostars were a good van.
Okay.
Except.
Well, give me a year, though.
They were 93 to 98.
Okay.
They were a great van. You got 300 plus on the same engine and transmission. The only problem with those, I had 5 of them, the guys couldn't sit straight up. They had to sort of kink their head. But the van,
like the taller guys, or what do you mean?
Even me, I had to kink my head.
Because your head would hit the top?
Right.
Really?
And the vans I really like today are the Express or the Savannah van. Those parts are easy to get. They're all over. Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of nice lock vans out there. Mm-hmm. I just couldn't spend that type of money because I'd be afraid one of my guys would do something.
Yeah. Seriously, now that you say that, though, I remember your 93 one you drove. It was all
four-wheel drive.
Electronic four-wheel drive. Right. I took that up snowmobiling. I hooked our snowmobile trailer onto it, and a buddy of mine, do you remember that? Yeah. We took that up. Yeah. It was a little special that day, let's say, right? But, hey, with all the damage you've been talking about happening, it's really a part of
doing business,
and you have to be prepared for it, right?
And if you can put a little slush fund to the side to, towards a new van, used van, whatever, but, it's hard to write $20,000 check for a van right then and there.
Sure. Now, I want to end it. And I hope all this information has been helpful to everyone. It's just real life, right? I mean, this is just the way real life actually works, right?
Absolutely.
You have to deal with what you currently have with your circumstances. But, we have to end it on a story of that one time when I did some damage to one of your vans. Do you remember that?
You did?
Remember that? So it was your safe van. So we had this big big cube safe van. And
deliver safes, because it had a lift.
Yep, and I was going up to do a safe delivery, and I was in high school at the time, right? So I was 16, 17, something like that.
All I can do is shake my head.
On the side of one of his shops there, the Hayden shop that you've seen, I think the damage is still there, isn't it?
Well, we sort of fixed it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. He hit the E because the van was so tall. I said, make sure you stay away. Oh, no problem, Dad.
Yep.
And all of a sudden I hear this, boom!
Oh my gosh. Hey, this is what I do know. I remember as soon as I heard that, I was like, I am dead.
Well, it's the same thing with anything. I don't like spending money when people aren't paying attention.
I mean, I thought about just like getting out of the van and running at that point and being like, someone took the van, right? But no, that's good. That's
scratched the side.
So I scraped up the whole side of this big cube van. So in my head, right, like if you're driving a pickup truck, the bed is, the same width as the cab. Well, on this big box truck, there's 3 feet or so.
Yeah, 2 foot on each.
2 foot on each side. Well, that didn't calculate very well, and I just, not only do I mess up the side of the building, but I also mess up the side of the van, and one of my specialties when I do mess things up is breaking the lights on them, right? Oh my gosh. Hey, you know what? It's the truth.
And I just replaced them all before you did that.
Did you?
Because I like everything on a van working.
Good stuff. Well, there you guys go. There's me.
Think after your mother.
Oh. Okay. Good stuff. Well, hey, I would love to know, the Lockfather would love to know in the comments below, what are your philosophies on your locksmithing vehicles? You'll be reading them.
Yeah.
I'll be reading them. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.
And whatever van you have, it's what you have. I mean, you got to start someplace.
Got to start someplace. There we go.
Right.
All right. All right. Man, does it look a little crooked? Man, it looks crooked to me.
Well, because of that loop. Push down that top thing, your strap on top.
Do you honestly ever find yourself sitting there looking at the camera being like, what are we doing right now?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. Hey, this is PJ with CLK Supplies.
There we go. Yeah, it looks square now.
Yeah. Still looked a little off, but I wasn't sure if it was me looking a little off.
Well, that could be.
All right. You ready, Eddie?
I'm ready, Freddy.
Oh, man, okay. I'm guessing if you just watched this video that you work with locks and keys. And to us here at CLK Supplies, that makes you a lock boss. And we want to hook you up. Here's how it works. Throughout the week, we post videos on YouTube, like the one you just watched. And all you need to do is comment on the videos and include the hashtag LockBoss. When you do this, you're automatically entered in to win one of 5 free prizes that we give out each and every week. No purchase necessary. So if you're a lock boss, join us each week to learn, grow, and win.